Have you ever noticed that the greatest miracles often begin in the quietest moments of our lives? Sometimes, when everything seems lost, it is precisely then that God reveals His power. Today, get ready for a prayer capable of transforming not only your night but the entire course of your story. Have you ever stopped to think that the way we begin a prayer can define all the spiritual strength it will carry? Often we underestimate the power of a simple act of welcome, but it is in this initial moment that the heart opens and faith grows stronger. It is here that hope is renewed and the unseen begins to act silently. Every word of surrender at the start of the prayer creates a direct bridge between you and God. It is in this first moment that everything transforms. When we gather in prayer, we are not merely speaking words into the air. We are connecting with a living presence that embraces every plea and every expression of gratitude. The beginning of this encounter is not an empty ritual, but an intimate call, a declaration of trust. It is like opening the doors of your home to welcome an honored guest. Every detail matters. And the more sincere this first step, the deeper the experience that follows. And this is just the beginning of a spiritual journey that goes far beyond the first words. Because if the start draws us closer to God, what comes next immerses us completely in His presence. But this power of transformation is not limited to the opening. It grows when we learn to give thanks and recognize divine care in every detail. And that is precisely what we are going to talk about now. Did you know that gratitude has the power to completely change the way we face each day? Studies show that people who cultivate the habit of giving thanks sleep better, deal with less stress, and live with more hope. In a spiritual sense, giving thanks is not just a positive attitude. It is recognizing that every detail of life is cared for by God. It is in this simple gesture that we make room for new blessings to be poured out. Gratitude is, in fact, the key that opens invisible doors. When we give thanks for what we already have, even if it seems little, we declare to heaven that we trust in divine care. This act protects us from anxiety and strengthens our faith amid daily struggles. It is not just about recognizing victories, but about seeing God's hand in the small details, in food, in family, in health, and even in difficulties that teach us. Gratitude is a silent prayer that speaks louder than 1,000 requests, and the more grateful we are, the more we are filled with peace. But giving thanks is not the end. It is just the beginning of an even deeper path, because the faith born from gratitude needs to be tested and strengthened in life's storms. It is at this point that we discover whether we truly trust or merely repeat words. And it is precisely about this challenge of faith, when everything seems uncertain, that we will reflect next. Have you noticed how faith seems unshakable on calm days but wavers at the first storm? It is precisely in these moments of crisis that we discover the true strength of our spiritual heart. Many give up when their eyes see only walls and not paths, but it is then that God desires to act most. Faith is not the absence of fear, but the courage to trust, even when everything seems to collapse. And it is in this paradox that trust becomes unbreakable. Strengthening faith is like exercising a muscle. The more it is tested, the more resilient it becomes. God never promised a life without challenges, but rather His constant presence in every struggle. When we learn to wait for God's timing, anxiety loses its power over us. Patience becomes a shield, and hope becomes fuel. This deep trust is what keeps us standing even when circumstances seem to shout otherwise. But faith is not only personal, it overflows and reaches everything around us. When the heart is strengthened, the home is also transformed, and the family begins to live under a new atmosphere of peace. A living faith does not remain confined to the personal. It spreads like light that illuminates every space, and it is precisely about this transformation within the home that we will speak now. Did you know that your home environment can directly influence your inner peace and even your emotional health? Research shows that households marked by constant arguments increase stress levels and weaken relationships. But when God's presence is invited to reign, everything changes. The home ceases to be just walls and furniture and becomes a refuge of love and security. It is in this space that faith comes alive in every detail. A home consecrated to God is a territory of peace, where respect and compassion become the foundation. This does not mean the absence of problems, but the certainty that each difficulty will be faced with unity and prayer. When the Holy Spirit dwells among the family, He dispels confusion, heals wounds, and strengthens bonds of affection. Children grow up secure, youth find direction, and elders are valued. All because the divine presence changes the invisible atmosphere surrounding the home. But it is not enough to care only for the physical environment of the house, because there is an even subtler battlefield, the mind and the heart. Often it is within us that the greatest conflicts and silent storms arise, and it is precisely about this inner struggle against anxiety, fear, and sadness that we will reflect next. Did you know that over 260 million people worldwide face the daily battle against anxiety and depression? These numbers reveal that the mind's struggle is one of the greatest of this century. And often it does not appear in words or behavior, but silently inside the heart. The mind can become an invisible battleground where fear, discouragement, and anguish wage constant wars. It is in this hidden place that many lose strength without anyone noticing. But God knows every thought, every hidden tear, and every silence. Filled with pain, He is able to illuminate the mind, dissipate the darkness of insecurity, and restore lost hope. Prayer, when done sincerely, is like a light that invades the inner darkness. It is in this intimate encounter that the soul's wounds begin to heal and the heart regains balance. Even amid mental chaos, God's presence brings serenity and confidence. And when the mind finds healing and rest, the entire body feels the reflection of this transformation. After all, many physical ailments are a consequence of untreated emotional weight. But the good news is that the same hand that heals the soul also touches the body. And it is precisely about this restorative power of God in physical health that we will reflect next. Did you know that thousands of people live daily with pains and illnesses that seem to have no solution? Many conditions, even when diagnosed, challenge human hope, but there is a higher power that works where science often cannot reach. God is called the Doctor of Doctors for a reason. He can touch what no one else can, and it is in this divine touch that unexpected miracles happen, transforming lives in surprising ways. When we pray for healing, we are not only asking for physical relief, but restoring energy, vitality, and balance in the body. Every cell can be touched by divine grace, and even undiagnosed conditions can be renewed. Hospitals, homes, and beds become stages where faith manifests as a restorative force. It is the certainty that nothing escapes God's attention, and that every illness can be faced with confidence and prayer. But healing is not limited to the body. There is a deeper dimension that requires liberation. Many suffer trapped in destructive habits and addictions that corrode their lives and families. And it is precisely about this path of inner freedom that we will talk about next. Did you know that millions of families suffer in silence because of addictions that hold their loved ones captive? Alcohol, drugs, gambling, or destructive behaviors do not only affect the practitioner, but erode dreams, relationships, and entire households. It is an invisible prison where suffering often goes unnoticed, but it can be broken by God's power. True liberation begins when we recognize that no one is alone in this battle. God has the power to break chains that seem impossible to break. Every sincere prayer, every plea for help, is an opportunity for divine mercy to reach the hearts of those who are lost. Families can regain hope and witness transformations that once seemed unattainable. Faith, acting alongside action and prayer, creates paths of reconciliation and healing. Nothing is impossible for those who fully trust the Lord, and when liberation occurs, a new chapter begins in every area of life. The same hand that breaks addictions also opens doors to opportunities, protection and prosperity. It is this complete restoration, body, mind, soul, and relationships, that leads us to reflect now on blessings in professional life and household sustenance. Did you know that thousands of people face financial difficulties even while working hard every day? Often the problem is not the effort, but the lack of divine blessing and guidance. God can open unexpected doors, transform challenges into opportunities, and provide sustenance in a just and dignified way. Trusting Him is essential for every achievement to be lasting and blessed. Faith, when combined with action, completely changes the trajectory of professional life. Praying for work and household provision is not just asking for money. It is seeking wisdom, energy, and balance to manage what we receive. Every job granted can become an opportunity for growth, learning, and honest prosperity. God works in the details, right decisions, healthy relationships, and unexpected opportunities. When we recognize His presence in daily life, work ceases to be just an obligation and becomes a blessed mission. But professional life is not the only aspect that needs care and restoration. Close relationships, especially marriage, also demand divine intervention to survive storms, and it is precisely about this protection and renewal of marital bonds that we will reflect on next. Did you know that over 50% of marriages face crises that could be avoided with faith and dialogue? Many relationships deteriorate due to pride, resentment, or lack of forgiveness, even when love still exists. But God can restore bonds, rekindle passion, and strengthen union in surprising ways. Divine presence in the home transforms conflicts into lessons and reconciliation. It is a power few notice, yet it can save entire families. When we trust God to guide marriage, every difficulty becomes an opportunity for joint growth. He teaches forgiveness, dialogue, and walking side by side even in delicate situations. Renewing forgotten vows and removing negative influences brings harmony and companionship. Couples who surrender to prayer experience a deeper and more resilient love. It is the certainty that faith can overcome any obstacle, and this restoration is not limited to the marital relationship. It extends to the heart of each individual, asking for forgiveness and inner transformation. Recognizing our faults and seeking purification is essential to fully live in divine love. And it is precisely about this renewal of spirit and heart that we will speak next, preparing the way for a fuller life connected with God. Did you know that most people carry regrets within them that block blessings and opportunities? Often, small mistakes or past decisions become invisible weights, affecting our choices and faith. But God offers the chance to start over, to cleanse the heart and renew the soul. Divine forgiveness does not just erase the past, but transforms the present and opens paths for a blessed future. It is an invitation to look forward with hope and courage. Recognizing our faults is the first step toward true spiritual transformation. Every impure thought, selfish act, or rash word can be entrusted to God for purification. Sincere prayer acts as a light that dispels inner darkness, strengthening the spirit and renewing faith. A repentant heart becomes sensitive to God's voice, eager to walk in holiness and live fully. And this inner renewal prepares the ground to receive help in all areas of life. When the spirit is restored, it becomes easier to trust, wait, and obey God's will. And at this point, the intercession of Our Lady enters powerfully, guiding our pleas and bringing comfort in the most difficult moments. It is about this maternal presence that we will speak now. Have you ever wondered why so many people find comfort and strength in the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary? Even when life seems too heavy, turning to her is like entrusting our worries to someone who understands every human heartache. Her presence brings consolation, hope, and courage, acting as a direct bridge between us and Christ. Few realize it, but trusting in her intercession can completely transform our prayers. It is in this silent support that many find spiritual renewal. The Blessed Virgin Mary is known as the Mother of Trust and Hope, capable of sustaining those whose faith wavers before challenges. Her intercession does not replace our surrender to God, but strengthens our spirit so that we may remain firm and confident. She guides, protects, and inspires patience in awaiting the time of grace. Every prayer said with faith is amplified through her maternal presence. It is a silent force that acts profoundly and transformatively. And when we rely on this intercession, we are naturally led to unite our voices in collective prayer. It is the moment to raise our petitions with faith and reverence, trusting that our intentions reach heaven. And it is precisely at this point that the final prayer, with the Our Father and Hail Marys, seals this entire spiritual journey, preparing the heart to receive all divine blessings. Have you noticed how group prayer can intensify the connection with God in a surprising way? When hearts unite in faith, each plea gains strength and depth, becoming more powerful. The Our Father and Hail Marys are not just repeated words, but true channels of communication with the divine. Every phrase spoken sincerely transforms the environment, bringing peace, serenity, and protection. It is as if heaven listens to every open heart in prayer. Praying together strengthens not only the individual, but the entire faith community. Each Our Father and each Hail Mary is a declaration of trust and surrender, a way to align body, mind, and spirit with God's will. This union creates an invisible bond where each intention reaches its deepest purpose. Repetition is not monotony, but a ritual that consolidates hope and strengthens faith. And when the collective prayer concludes, the moment for personal action and testimony arises. It is here that each person is called to express their faith, reaffirming the belief that miracles begin with trust in God. That is why, before finishing, there is a special invitation that transforms this experience into a daily act of faith. And it is precisely about this gesture that we will speak next. Have you noticed the power that your words of faith can have on yourself and others? By declaring your trust in God, you create a living testimony of hope and transformation. Simple words like, "The miracle begins with faith," can ignite the flame of belief in those around you. Every comment or gesture of faith is a reminder that no one is alone on the spiritual journey. It is an invitation for faith to become concrete action. By writing or sharing your trust, you participate in a chain of prayer and inspiration that transcends barriers. This gesture strengthens your own faith while encouraging others to trust in God's power. Small acts of public testimony create invisible yet profound impacts, forming a network of hope and spiritual solidarity. It is a way of making visible what the heart feels and believes. And this practice of sharing faith concludes today's video journey, but not your spiritual journey. Every action, every prayer, and every word of trust are seeds that blossom into daily blessings. Now take this conviction with you. Faith is not limited to prayer. It manifests in actions and testimonies. And it is in this way, with courage and faith, that you continue to live miracles every day.